Sorry to bother you, but I just want to make a quick video to bring us up to date on where we are in the class. I'm recording us on Thursday. Friday, tomorrow, is the day of mourning for President Epps, and there's no class. I'm going to have to rearrange the readings, but the reading for Monday from Oscar Wilde's De Profundis is up, and you're going to need a copy of that book. We'll be reading that over 4 sessions. It'll be well worth the investment in that book, not only to read it, but to have it with you for the reading exams. But where are we? Well, we've just watched a 1960 film called Oscar Wilde, starring a great old British actor named Robert Morley as Wilde. I think it was a very good film. There were quite a few available dramatic films about Oscar Wilde and what happened, the events of his court cases. But I thought this is the one I liked the best, so it's the one I asked you to watch. We are about to read his work, De Profundis, which is in Latin, out of the depths. And what are the depths? Well, at the end of the film, and we'll watch the very end of the film, he goes to jail. He goes to jail for 2 years. Why is he in jail? He has been convicted of sodomy, being a sodomite, of unnatural practices. And that is a sort of very, very complicated outcome of both the court cases. What happened in that film is that the original court case was Wilde bringing a charge of libel against the father of his friend or lover or something, Alfred Douglas Bosie. His father, the Marquis of Queensberry, writes that weird thing on a card at Oscar Wilde's club, accusing him of being a posing sodomite. Well, it's the sodomite thing that drove Wilde to prosecute Queensberry for libel. What is sodomy? Sodomy is an old-fashioned term. It was the catch-all term for so-called unnatural practices, which basically meant any form of sexual activity that was looked down upon and seen as perverted in some way. So it covered everything that was disapproved of by society, but especially homosexuality, gay sex. And that was essentially what Queensberry was accusing Wilde of, and what Wilde felt that for his own reputation, he had to fight back about. Problem was that during the first trial, I'm not saying that I don't really know what was proved there, but it became clear that Wilde had extensive relationships with young men that may or may not have been a sexual character. And that the thing is, remember, sodomy, or gay sex in this case, was against the law in England at that time. So what happened was that immediately after the first trial, Wilde was arrested for sodomy and was prosecuted and convicted. And at the end of the film, we'll watch the rest of it in class, just a few more minutes. He goes to Reading Jail and he emerges a broken man after he was not prepared for 2 years of real time. He's crushed. So why am I telling you this? Well, to help you situate things, but also to situate the next reading, De Profundis. De Profundis, out of the depths, is something that Wilde wrote while in prison, while in Reading Jail. It starts out as a letter to Alfred Douglas, a very, very bitter letter to Douglas, but then it becomes just Wilde's thoughts about himself and his life and what he's learned from being in prison. So De Profundis was written by Wilde while he was a convict in Reading Jail, and that's what we're reading. So what we're reading, De Profundis, is Wilde writing after all the events of the film, and while he is essentially a common criminal thrown into very, very harsh conditions in jail. That's what that's about.